Missy Cooper might seem like just the funny twin sister in young Sheldon, the sassy kid who roasts Sheldon at the dinner table and fights him over the TV remote. But there's a lot more to her than that. Behind the one-liners and the attitude, this show quietly built one of the saddest character arcs on television, and most people completely missed it. To truly understand why Missy's ending hit so much harder than you remember, we need to go back and look at every moment that shaped who she is, and see how 7 seasons of being the forgotten child turned Missy Cooper's finale into something genuinely cruel. So, sit back, grab a snack, and let's break down why Missy Cooper's ending is worse than you remember. Because what happens to her after this? That part is even worse, and we'll get to it. From the very first episode of Young Sheldon, the entire show is built around one kid, and it's not Missy. Every time Sheldon does something extraordinary, which is basically every episode, the camera, the parents, the school, the whole household reorganizes around him.
We have a student with us who, despite his young age, is remarkably gifted. And I expect y'all to make him feel welcome.
And Missy is right there the entire time. She's in the same house, at the same dinner table, in the same town. But Sheldon's world keeps moving faster than hers, and she just doesn't matter enough to focus on. And the show proves this early. When Sheldon gets accepted into high school at 9 years old, the family celebrates. When Sheldon gets attention from a gifted program, the family adjusts. When Sheldon's academic future comes up, the family plans. Missy? Missy is in the background. She's cracking jokes. She's fighting with him over cereal. And nobody is asking her what she wants to be when she grows up. But here's the thing, Missy is not clueless about this. She actually figures it out way earlier than you'd expect. In season 2, there's this episode where a professor named John Sturgis suggests a twin study. They test both Sheldon and Missy, and the results are telling. Sheldon dominates every analytical test, no surprise there, but Missy outperforms him in emotional intelligence and social perception. She's the one who can read a room. She's the one who understands how people actually feel. The researchers see it, Mary sees it, and after the study, Missy finally gets to pick where the family eats dinner. That's her reward, one dinner. Meanwhile, the show keeps following Sheldon to gifted programs, college prep, and eventually Caltech visits. In season 3, Sheldon literally gets flown out to visit Caltech.
Dad, the university offered to pay for us to go to California. They're even putting us up in a hotel.
You're kidding.
While Meemaw has to stay behind and cheer Missy up because she's jealous. And honestly, she should be. Her twin brother is getting the red carpet treatment at a university while she's sitting at home being told she's fine. And it's not like Missy just sits there and takes it. She actually fights for attention the one way she knows how. The baseball arc in season 3 is Missy carving out something of her own. She asks George to teach her. She stands up to boys on the team. She earns her spot. But even that gets filtered through Mary's anxiety and church drama instead of being about what Missy accomplished. Sheldon gets attention for being smart. Georgie gets attention for causing problems. And Missy gets whatever's left. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's sad, but it's a sitcom. Kids get overshadowed. It happens. But what makes Missy's story different is what happens when she stops being okay with it. And that's where things start to get really rough. Starting around season 4, Missy goes from being the overlooked kid to being the kid who fights back. And nobody handles it well. Not her parents, not Sheldon. And definitely not Missy herself. The show shifts her from comedy relief into something way heavier. And the worst part is, almost every bad thing that happens to her starts because the family drops the ball first. It starts with something that sounds small, but actually sets off everything. In the season 4 premiere, the family throws a joint graduation party for Sheldon and Missy.
Missy, how would you and Sheldon like a graduation party?
Why would Missy have a graduation party?
Because I'm graduating elementary school?
Both of them are moving on to the next stage, but the local news crew that shows up, they only interview Sheldon and the parents. Missy is invisible at her own graduation party. She's standing right there, and nobody points a camera at her. Nobody asks her a question, but she still helps Sheldon. He's terrified of the future, and Missy is the one who tells him it's okay to be scared. You just have to do it anyway.
I guess be scared and do it anyway. It's comforting to know that you feel the same way that I do.
And Sheldon takes that exact line and uses it in his graduation speech. He even credits her directly, tells the graduates to be as brave as his twin sister.
Because like you said, it's okay to be scared. We just have to do it anyway.
which is a nice moment, but the public spotlight still becomes his. Missy gives him the line, Sheldon gets the stage, and by the end of the day, nobody is talking about Missy's graduation. Then, season 4, episode 18 hits, her first real heartbreak. The boy she likes, Marcus, Sheldon, being Sheldon, insults her over it. Missy snaps and says everyone always takes Sheldon's side.
I am not going to tell you again.
Why do you always take his side?
I do not.
Yes, you do. Everybody does. I hate this family.
She runs away to the cabin. Sheldon eventually goes after her and comforts her, which is actually a good twin moment, but it doesn't fix the bigger problem. The bigger problem is that every time Missy has a crisis, it's treated like a minor subplot. Every time Sheldon has a crisis, the whole family mobilizes. Then, season 6 happens, and season 6 is where it gets bad. In episode 14, Mandy goes into labor. It's a big deal. Georgie's freaking out. Mary's at the hospital. Sheldon is distracted by his database launch. Everyone rushes to be somewhere. Everyone except Missy.
Where is my dad?
I ask that question a lot.
He's not usually late.
My mom's picking me up, but she's...
Because they forgot her. She's sitting at school. Nobody picks her up. Nobody calls her. She walks home alone, and she finds out about the baby from Mandy, not from her own parents. And in the very next episode, she finally says it out loud. She tells George and Mary that attention has always gone to Sheldon and Georgie, that she's been overlooked her whole life. She leaves a note on the kitchen counter that says, "Try not forgetting your daughter today." Then she sees Mary comforting Sheldon about something, and she just snaps. She takes George's truck and runs. Now, here's where you'd expect the show to course correct. Give Missy her moment. Let her heal. But that's not what happens. Missy calls Paige.
Hello?
Hey, it's Missy. I stole my dad's truck. I'm running away. Wanna come?
You're running away? It sounds dangerous.
And the two of them head toward Florida. They skip out on a diner bill. They get stopped near Baton Rouge after Missy accidentally gives away her age. And adult Sheldon's narration straight up says, this is where Missy's difficult period begins. And here's a detail most people don't catch. Paige, the one person willing to run with Missy in that moment, never appears in the show again after this episode. So Missy doesn't just lose the argument with her family. She loses her rebellion partner too. She comes home, she's grounded. No TV, no music, no magazines. Sheldon watches Beverly Hills 90210 just so he can recap the episodes for her, which is sweet.
No, I've watched your program and I can tell you everything that happened.
So you know what happened to Brandon's gambling problem? And how Dylan and Kelly are doing?
I do.
But it's also a pretty clear picture of how small Missy's world gets after she tries to be heard. She tried to make herself impossible to ignore, but because she did it by stealing a truck and running away, all anyone could respond to was the punishment. But then something actually good happens. For the first time in the whole show, Missy gets to step up, and for a second, it looks like things might actually turn around, which is exactly what makes the next part so much worse. The end of season 6 gives Missy something she never really had before, a real moment with her dad, and season 7 lets her actually be useful in the family for the first time. But the show doesn't give her that because it's rewarding her. It gives her that so the ending hurts more, and the moment that sets all of this up is the tornado. In season 6, episode 22, a tornado hits East Texas while Sheldon and Mary are off in Germany. George is home with the rest of the family, and when the tornado comes, George shields Missy in a ditch. He puts his body over hers to protect her, and in that moment, Missy does something she's never really done before. She apologizes.
Hey, it's over.
Sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I've been awful. I don't even know why. I really do love you and Mom, and I don't actually hate Sheldon. I'll be better, I promise.
She tells him she loves the family. She promises to change. That scene is one of the most emotional father-daughter moments in the entire show. George isn't giving a speech. He's not solving a problem. He's just holding his daughter in a ditch during a storm, and she's finally being honest with him. Then season 7 starts, and Missy actually follows through. She steps up around the house. She takes on responsibility. She's not perfect. She still pushes boundaries. She still gets into trouble with Billy. She still tests George when she can, but she's trying, and for the first time, the family kind of needs her. And then episode 12 happens. George gets a job offer from Rice University.
I got a job offer from Rice.
Aroni?
University. You can understand the mistake.
Sheldon is finalizing his plans for Caltech. The family takes a portrait together. Things feel almost hopeful, like maybe the Coopers are about to turn a corner. Then Principal Peterson and Coach Wilkins show up at the front door. George had a heart attack. He's gone. He was only in his early 40s. And Missy asks one question. He's okay, right? And then she breaks down.
He's okay, right?
He's gone.
Now here's what makes this so much worse than just a sad TV death. It's not just that Missy lost her dad, it's when she lost him. Missy literally just got George back. The tornado scene was their real reconciliation. She apologized, she promised to do better, and she was doing better, and then he dies. She doesn't get to build on that promise. She doesn't get the years of being a better daughter to a dad who actually sees her. She gets a few episodes, that's it. The show gave her hope specifically so it could take it away. And that's not even the worst part, because the funeral and the finale are still coming, and they add something most people forget about entirely. Because Missy's ending isn't just about grief, it's about what happens to her after the grief. And when you connect it to what we already know from the Big Bang Theory, it's a completely different story. Most people remember the young Sheldon finale as Sheldon's goodbye. He goes to Caltech, the memoir wraps up, Walk of Life plays over the credits. It's bittersweet but kind of hopeful. That's Sheldon's ending. But Missy's ending is hiding inside that finale. And when you actually look at what happens to her in those last 2 episodes, and then connect it to what Georgie says years later in the Big Bang Theory, the full picture is genuinely rough. Let's start with the funeral. In episode 13, Missy is angry, not sad, angry. She's upset with Sheldon. She lashes out at Pastor Jeff. She talks to Billy because he's honestly one of the only people around who she can be real with. And then she says goodbye to George at the casket. And this is where the show does something really smart and really heartbreaking at the same time. Missy brings up Red Lobster, the same Red Lobster from season 1, episode 21, when George took her out for a father-daughter dinner. That was 6 seasons ago. That callback is doing a lot of heavy lifting, because it's telling you that Missy's best memory of her dad isn't some grand gesture. It isn't a life lesson. It isn't even a big moment. It's just dinner. Her dad took her to Red Lobster, and that's the thing she holds on to at his funeral. And that's the last thing she says to him. Then, episode 14 hits, the finale. Less than a month after the funeral, Mary brings the kids to church. Missy does not want to be there. She's reluctant about getting baptized, and when Pastor Jeff brings up George, Missy snaps at him. She's not interested in being comforted by religion right now. She's a 14-year-old girl whose dad just died, and people keep telling her how to grieve. She has a brief goodbye with Sheldon, and then Sheldon leaves for Caltech.
You gonna remember me?
I have an eidetic memory. I have no choice.
The last image of the show is Sheldon sitting in Pasadena saying, "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." And Missy is not in that image. She's back in East Texas, in a house that just lost its father, with a mother who's deep in grief and leaning hard into religion, and an older brother who is about to become the only functioning adult in the family. And that's where the Big Bang Theory fills in the part young Sheldon didn't show you. In the TBBT episode, The Sibling Realignment, Georgie tells Sheldon directly. He says that after George died and Sheldon left for college, Mary was a mess, Missy was a teenager, and Georgie had to take care of the whole family. That's not speculation. Georgie says it to Sheldon's face. That's Missy's real ending, not the baptism, not the goodbye. The real ending is that Sheldon leaves. Georgie tries to pick up the pieces as barely more than a kid himself, and Missy is a grieving teenager in a broken household where nobody has enough left to fully be there for her. And if you look at what we know about Missy's future, it lines up. As a teenager, she picks up small local jobs like the comic shop and video store. The Big Bang Theory later says she hostesses at Fuddruckers. She takes 6 years to finish high school, and by the time Sheldon's wedding rolls around in TBBT, Missy is separated and pregnant again. None of that is random. That's what 7 seasons of being the overlooked child, losing your dad right after you finally reconnected with him, and watching your twin brother leave for a bigger life actually does to a person. Sheldon's ending is triumphant. Young Sheldon ends with him arriving at the place that launches the rest of his life, and the Big Bang Theory eventually confirms where that path leads, the Nobel Prize. Missy's ending is the opposite. Georgie tries to hold the family together, but he's barely an adult himself, so Missy still ends up grieving inside a broken household where no one has enough left to fully catch her. That's why Missy Cooper's ending is worse than you remember, because it's not really an ending. It's a beginning, and it's the beginning of the hardest part of her life.